Good morning. Yes, it's becoming more and more of an issue. We're seeing more sales of privately owned e-scooters across the UK, hundreds of thousands of them. If you go out in any town and city now, it's not uncommon to see e-scooters. And for blind and partly sighted people, just getting from A to B is becoming more of a concern. And a lot of people that we've spoken to, including myself, it is becoming a worry that we could be walking along a pavement and an e-scooter could shoot past us. And it's not about necessarily crossing a road, it's actually just feeling safe on a pavement where we're seeing lots of private e-scooters being used.
Clive, we've just cut away from you, but a second ago we could see just the corner of your lovely guide dog. I'm assuming he's a black Labrador, she's a black Labrador. They're very, very highly trained. It's really difficult to become a guide dog. But are they not able to be trained to become aware of e-scooters?
We are seeing increasing issues from our guide dogs, both the dogs in training and dogs that are actually working, like Winnie. Where they are becoming concerned or anxious when they're coming into contact with e-scooters at close contact. Of course, we are working on this issue, but we shouldn't need to, is the answer. We shouldn't need to have to be concerned that our dogs and our guide dog owners and other blind and partially sighted people are going to be in danger, at risk of fatality on a pavement. On a pavement I'm talking about.
It doesn't necessarily mean, Clive, does it, that e-scooters are a bad thing? I mean, they can be, a pretty useful tool. Isn't it about those who are using them being considerate?
It is, and I think there's an element of education, and the government needs to take a grip on this. At the moment, we are in a situation where private e-scooters, as you quite rightly said earlier, are not allowed they're illegal on any road or pavement. And they're only allowed on private land at the moment. The government are going to legislate, we think, next year. And this is where we need to make sure that the legislation is very clear about safety, about sound, about speed, and about the weight of e-scooters, but also raising awareness with the public. Because of the trials that were introduced by the government last year, it saw a massive increase in the sale of privately owned e-scooters because people weren't aware of or said they weren't aware of the law. And this is where the problem has arisen. So now, coming up to Christmas, we're really concerned, and the polling that we've done said that over 20% of people we polled said they're expecting to either give or receive an e-scooter at Christmas, which they can't use on public land.
What is it about e-scooters that really riles people so much? I mean, it's not just you, Clive, and the Blind Association, but so many of our viewers really, really loathe e-scooters. But I just wonder, I live opposite an e-scooter bank. It's just been put up in the last 6 months or so. And I also live on quite a busy road. And I have to cross that road every day with my children to walk to school. And what scares me the most is electric cars. And the number of times I haven't heard a car coming and I've nearly stepped out with, both my hands with kids. I haven't been frightened of scooters, e-scooters. And I wonder, do you feel the same threat from electric cars?
Electric cars are an issue. Any vehicle that goes really fast or can potentially go fast and is quiet, of course, for blind and partially sighted people, and I should say other people, as exactly as you said, can be an issue. Obviously, now we have regulation that electric vehicles will have to have an audible signal on them that's constant. And this is what we're saying as part of the legislation around e-scooters for next year. The government needs to make sure that they introduce a similar sound onto privately owned and any e-scooter, actually.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? And do you know what? More than anything else, while we wait to see what legislation happens, if you're out and about on an e-scooter, think of the people around you, especially those who may be having problems
and their dogs. Did you say your dog's name was Winnie, Clive?
Yeah. Winnie. Yes, her name's Winnie. But she makes my life so much easier in terms of independence, getting from A to B. But if I'm on a pavement and an e-scooter is coming around, and it's going to make my life and a lot of other blind and partially sighted people's lives a lot more difficult.